move by Steve Fisher here. Turn it into the 19.
Anyway, I don't know if you saw it. I guess that's Eastern Conference. Did you see that video of Doc Rivers talking to Harden? Oh, bro, it was so fucking good.
Really?
It was him just break. Yeah, it was him do it like it was like a mic'd up moment where he was walking through Harden and walking through like what he needs from Harden and what they're trying to do as a culture and how Harden fits in and how they can, his belief of how it all works and getting Embiid to be the certain portion of the play making, but Harden needs to be more than a facilitator and how it all works in the context of like step by step.
Yeah.
It was badass and
That's
trying to get
awesome.
Harden to understand like this is how you need to play with this team and we're unstoppable, like legitimately unstoppable.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think that he's an interesting coach. Doc Rivers has been around for a long time now, and he's kind of gotten dumped on lately. But I do think that is a strength of his. Seems to be like character and leadership of the players on the court. Whether he can like be dynamic enough to get the most out of them in like certain situations seems like maybe not. Maybe he's like an overall culture setter, not a guy who micromanages in those like specific moments. And that may be where he gets kind of hung up, but that's what's so tough too. Like you can be really amazing. And obviously he is at that thing, but maybe not quite as good at another. And I guess that maybe that's him as a leader needing to know who his assistant coaches need to be and recognizing what he needs on the sidelines with him.
Yeah, to bring that support to the team. I totally hear you. Like that's team building to me, right? That's recognizing where you're strong. Then you got to get that person, whoever it might be, number two, to like understand your vision, but to be able to get in and be like, this is the actual operational, human operations that need to work to make this happen. You know, and it's all translatable. It's a trip. I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we're done with this, since my AirPods don't attach to my phone, I'll try to find that clip and send it to you. It's a pretty cool, like 1 to 2 minute conversation.
I'll check it out for sure. I think that's one of the most interesting teams of the year. And I think the Harden dynamic, he's a fascinating player because he's gotten just like, shit on for, his faults in the postseason, which fine. And, the, whatever his extracurricular activities, which I also think is, it's such a weird thing about the sports figures, but I guess because they make so much, people are so much more interested in how they spend their time, not on the court. But you know what I mean? Like you never would think of like if someone at the cafe was a little off one day and you wouldn't be like, wonder what they did last night. We need to dig into that and see if there's some TMZ video of it. It's like, no, I think, maybe just tomorrow they'll be all right.
Yeah, I was gonna say everybody can have a night, dude. Yeah, everybody can go hard.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's okay.
All right. Well, let's stay with the team building then. I want to get your thoughts on Redeem Team. Did you get a chance to watch that?
Yeah, man, that's like the sickest thing I've seen in a minute.
Yes, that's what I wanted to hear. So give me your just like overview of it first.
The overview of it is like, do you like how it feels to have those movies like Remember the Titans in your life? Like, do you like what it feels like to see what shouldn't be underdogs, but that feeling of underdogs coming together and making something special happen? Like, and to hear the behind the scenes story and hear from the mouths of these players how it worked is, and coaches and people who are really deeply involved, that is really, really inspiring. And then for me, like there's a difference between how I felt about Kobe before that and after, to be real. Yeah. And it humanized him a lot. Prior to that, to me, he's one of the best players of all time, and I still didn't love him.
Yeah.
And after that movie, I was like, I like Kobe a lot. And I can still dislike some of the things that he did in the culture that he kind of lived out in his career, but I understood him more, I felt like. And then I appreciated seeing so many things, how people could disarm you, like LeBron and disarming him.
Right? How great was that? That was so. I knew he was kind of like a culture builder, just going back to like Cleveland, because there's always like photos, and that seems like he does a really good job of that, of like bringing the guys together, trying to connect with them, and do fun team building stuff with them. But to see it like kind of in the moment, and even with Kobe, like that birthday thing, he's leading it. Like,
it's good.
This is just really like you said, humanizing and stuff that you can relate to, where these guys so often seem unrelatable. Like we were talking about Harden and some of the stuff that seemed very, relatable. And yeah, the Kobe seeing behind the thinking behind some of the things that he did and the way he explained it was super amazing. The Pau Gasol thing obviously stands out. I mean,
G'd
I
up.
don't know. I'm pretty competitive. I'm unsure whether I could do that to my teammate.
I'm too empathetic to pull that
Yeah.
move. That's one of those like
Amazing
win
though,
at all
right?
costs.
Just,
I mean, yeah.
and well, just the pre-planning of it too. Like, I think if I got fired up enough, maybe, you know, just the raw emotion of it, you could do it. But like, to just be like, hey guys, here's what's gonna happen, and just like lay it out there, and then just to crush him. I couldn't believe. I mean, the cut between him explaining it and then seeing it is unbelievable. Like, I've never seen anything like that before.
I hadn't either. I was pretty blown away, and it was the whole the whole scene was like, holy shit! To pre-plan it, but even to go deeper and like meet Pau Gasol. I mean, that might have been for the finals game, but to like connect with them.
Oh yeah, before the
soften him
very
up a
first
little,
time they played, yeah.
go see their team, like be like, what's up, guys? We
Yeah.
got to play together, and just fucking lay into him. It's like,
I'm gonna run you over.
Unbelievable. I'm
Unbelievable.
gonna run him over, and then to do it right, like tell the team, and then to do it, and have them be like, "Oh, this guy is on."
The
and
reactions,
then also, like, his ethics
too. The reactions of Bosch and those guys were like,
Bosch,
he wasn't lying. Like, I mean, everyone was just like, nah, he's not really gonna do that. And then just to see his reaction after he does it, and I would be the same way. I'd be like, my God, and yeah. The club
his leadership style,
yes,
it's just different, right?
Is.
You got like LeBron's, but then you have his, which is essentially like, I'm gonna be a straight shooter. He doesn't seem like he's an inspire by words by any means. No. I think he's like, I'm gonna go do this shit, and you can see how good I am.
Yeah.
And if you want to be good like me, follow my lead or follow in my example.
Yeah.
And that's one way. But then there's like the LeBron way, which is completely different.
It's totally different.
Like LeBron. And this was kind of fun and validating for me too. Is like I've always thought Dwayne Wade was one of the most clutch ballers ever, and he's always I think he's underrated in the context of the whole picture. But to see this again was like super validating. I'm like, there were two clutch people on that team, and Dwayne Wade and Kobe were the ones
for sure.
Like they actually were the ones. The rest of them were amazing, but the clutch players were those two guys, and you can kind of see that. I mean, LeBron's developed to be a pretty clutch player.
Yeah. But this is before all that. This is before all of that, that he went through the Dallas series and kind of he seemed more like the jovial, and he just figured that it had always worked for him, and he figured it eventually would. But Kobe coming in too and saying, I'm tired of you guys watching you guys lose. I mean, just like the ultimate flex, like Melo, I thought he would just like, oh man, just to be able to say that to these other guys who are the top of their game. Cause it's just different when it's, there's the top of the mountain, and then there's that little peak just above it that, it's like you can lots of people could get to Everest base camp, but to get to that peak is just, a whole nother thing. And wow, it was,
he claimed it.
He did right there. Just walking in. Tired of seeing you guys losing. What about Coach K? I'm curious because sticking with leadership, because we've been talking kind of around that. What did you think of his leadership style and the way he brought these guys together? Because he was in a unique position too, just kind of being put forward by Dean Smith, which I thought was an interesting part of the backstory. And then coming in as a college coach, looking for that validation. And I think they kind of glossed over that 2006 team that he did coach losing too. Like they went over that Greek loss real quick.
Real fast.
Because Krzyzewski was there for that. They were just kind of like, oh yeah, they lost to the Greek team, by the way, and then kind of fast forwarded to 2008.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing they barely gave credit to that was they wanted the team to commit so they could develop as an actual team, like the rest of the world. But again, I think that comes down back to Coach K being really wise. Like the thing I liked about Coach K is that he looked at the picture honestly. He didn't look at the picture with that presupposed ego of what was getting us to lose. We're Americans. We created basketball. We're the best. And he said, what's happening? Why are we losing? Right? Where other guys, I feel like in the past were like, we're just gonna have to play harder and do, it's like that same thing, like keep throwing the same stuff at the fence, like work harder, put the better team together. And it's like, no, you have to build a culture. You have to look at what's happening, learn the rules, like,
Yeah. Oh man, how
and
crazy is
adapt,
that? Learn
you
the
know, like
learn the
all of them.
rules. Yeah.
Learn the rules, adapt, pay attention to how these other teams are playing,
Yeah.
because we need to be a mix of ourselves, which I love. He's all, you need to keep the egos that you have because you are the best players in the
Yes.
world, and you need to bring that to the table. But you need to bring that to the table in the context of the ego of this entire team and the plan we have.
Yeah.
Like, they fit together only if you allow it to fit together. And I think there's so much wisdom in that. That's team building. That's also checking their ego enough to be like, you need to be humble enough to know, like, you've been losing because of there's a reason, you
Yeah.
know, and it's not your skill.
Right.
So something, you have more to learn. We
Yeah.
have more to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's genius. I think that's really, really awesome. And just to hear that players, respond to it too. In the context, right? They're like, he shot us really, really straight, but he also allowed us to be ourselves,
Mm.
and it made sense, right?
Yeah.
I think Coach K believed in what he believed in, and it wasn't somebody trying to convince these NBA players to quote unquote be different. It was convince them to see a bigger, broader picture that wasn't about myself as a superstar.
Yeah, that can be the hardest thing. He even in that huddle in the Spain, the Spain game, they overlay him saying like the players were talking through it and him recognizing like, oh, okay, my job's kind of done. And that's such a hard thing as a coach in that moment to realize like, okay, I got them to this point. Like my job here is to let these guys take it home. They've got it, and to be humble, to be humble enough to know that you don't always have to be the voice and the direction. That's that's not easy, because letting go of the reins like that a little bit, because it could, you're going to get the blame if it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's going to come right back at you if it comes out that you were there and didn't say anything. It can work the other way too.
Yeah, I would have loved to hear what that huddle sounded like.
Yeah.
I'm imagining, just based on that Redeem Team doc, and trusting, somehow having a deeper trust in Coach K, although it's pretty proven at this point for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, he must have been hearing good things, and he must have been hearing a lot of camaraderie that was building. A lot of belief was building in each other, and that momentum was carrying. And you're right, like, one thing, checking the ego, and probably also, I would imagine he had some pride there where he was like, oh shit, this is happening.
Yeah.
Like, they're getting it.
They got it. Yeah.
And there's always going to be moments more to coach, but he's probably, I'm picturing in that moment, and in a way where I get pumped, him watching and being like, oh, they are exactly on pace right now. If this keeps going as it is, we're winning for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where I think good coaching can come into play, as well as allowing your leaders to be leaders,
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I heard the No Dunks guys talking about they're all from Canada, and they talked a lot about the redemption part and that they did a good job of it, because they're like, well, I never cheered for the United States ever. That's such a weird thing as a person from the United States thinking about. But they're like, yeah, they never lose. Like, they're trying to paint themselves as the underdogs. They were like 167-0 until that one game against Puerto Rico. It's like, that you guys aren't the underdogs, the Redeem Team. What are you talking about? Like, you guys have been pummeling everyone for decades. You're going to try to act like you need redemption here. But
yeah,
it was a neat perspective, and the fact that they could frame it up in a way that did make other people connect to that team in that way, I think was, speaks to the job that they did, and that telling the backstory, not just focusing on that 2008 team, but kind of showing the missteps and miscues along the way in the team building process.
Well, there's something to their ability to ingrain themselves in the culture that was, we're representing the United States in a different way too. I thought it was awesome, which it felt like this was a Kobe-led thing as well, is we're going to, for the first time ever, go watch all the other best athletes in the world and support them. We're going to actually show up, and we're going to actually be Team USA, not the NBA players who play for Team USA.
Yeah.
And to me, I think that's a huge statement, and maybe one of the reasons that you can get people cheering for you, because you become human, and you allow people to see that you actually give a shit about them too. It's not just all about me, all about me, all about me. And I think the American culture made it all about them and how badass they were, when it's like, it's equally badass that everybody else who's winning gold medals for the US is the best in the world at the same time. And even the ones who don't are the best that we have to offer, and they also, deserve that kind of respect. So to have the people who already get the most money and the most respect and the most notoriety to show up for the average, perfect average human, right? The best athletes in the world, I think allowed everybody to be like, oh, this is a real team that's like deserves our love and support.
Well, they, just doing little things like showing up in the cafeteria to eat, and
right.
It seems so minor, but that really is what, what's missing sometimes. I think about like Jordan in later years. It's just like it must have been difficult for him too, because you can't do that on some level, but it also like does take some, a piece of your humanity away when you can't, when you're on that cruise ship like they were and weren't even in the Olympic Village, like not just like the general population of people, but just like even with the athletes, like they weren't mixing. They couldn't go to the events. They were just on that boat the whole time. It just would be weird. And it is those like sojourns with your teammates too are the team building time, right? When you have those, random conversations, or build out the Miami Heat in a couple of years or whatever else. They glossed over that too, I thought.
I wanted to hear. We're putting together our squad. I know. We're having a real nice time.
They didn't really hit on that too much, I noticed. That'll be another documentary.
Agree. So yeah, one to be. Those little moments though are the human moments that make you, I think they bring inspiration.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're stuck on a cruise ship, not interacting with everybody, you're not getting those moments that as a human, they make you feel, it's really intangible. It's kind of hard to describe, but those are the moments I think that build people up in these really interesting small ways that turn into, I'm really excited to play. I'm really invested in this as myself. And those things only happen with a lot of random interaction and a lot of showing up. And unless you've experienced that yourself, it's almost hard to describe to people, but it's totally true. Like inspiration strikes oftentimes when you're not doing the thing that you're about to do. Like you're having a conversation with somebody in another sport and you're hearing them talk about their sport with this certain level of passion, and it ignites a passion in you, or even a thing, whatever they're talking about. They might be excited. It might be it could have been the chef in the cafeteria talking about how crushing this food. Look at the presentation, like detail work. Somebody like Kobe's all, damn, that is the level I need to be on. I love being on that level. Like somebody else gets it. I'm not alone. I'm going to go crush it today. Like those moments are like, and I think humans gloss over and they don't see them a lot. And then they think, whatever.
Way too much. Yeah.
I mean, you saw the Curry post last night. There's so many people hating
I know
that Curry's cheering on his brother-in-law.
Yeah.
Because his brother-in-law is on the rival team. And I'm like, you don't realize that like inspiration, support, care. Like these are human beings. This is awesome. Like I was cheering for him too. And that's absolutely because I'm a Warriors fan. But I was also like, fuck yeah, Damian Lee. Like, look at you go. Like, I'm so glad you had a moment. New team, first game. Like I was wondering how he was going to be on that squad. I'm like, it's got to be weird for him. Like they were for sure rivals. And for him to go in and to like start game one and be like, oh no, he's immediate acceptance. Like just that human feeling. I don't care if it's Damian Lee or anything. You can understand the feeling of, I'm new. Oh man, I want to perform. I was on this team where I got to barely perform and I got to just look good tonight and really help. And it felt good. I was defensive. I was offensive. I don't know if you watched the game, but I was like, this is sick. Like you put up big, and I was literally thinking to myself, like, he's getting like big minutes for this first game.
Well, Chris Paul was sitting out. They had Booker in there and Chris Paul on the bench. So that was
whole thing.
You're cooking. Yeah. Early in the season, you're gonna try stuff out.
I jumped to a whole different thing, but it's that feeling. It's again, that human feeling of like Curry got inspired watching his boy crush. And if Curry was playing tonight, guaranteed Curry might go off a little more than he might with a day or two after that as it settles in. Cause he's remembering that feeling. He's like, oh, that was sick. Like you're feeling that. If he could go play a game right after watching that,
oh man,
he's on fire, and that's the stuff like is intangible. Had nothing to do with Curry.
Oh man.
Had all to do with watching a rival team and a friend play.
I saw him do the little shimmy shake the night before. I wanted to immediately go out and do that. I'm like, chances of me making that almost 0%. Looked amazing though.
Good. I hadn't seen that.
Never seen him do that
Mini
before.
Jordan.
We loved
Mini
it.
Jordan
I
right
love
there.
that.
Yeah. A little
Love
more
that.
like DeMar DeRozan in this case.
Oh, okay.
No.
Now you're talking. That's my guy, my Bulls.
Oh, understandable. I know. We're supposed to talk Western Conference.
Yeah, let's go to it. So my idea was, and I love being able to do this after the season starts. Everyone's in such a hurry to get out like their predictions before the season starts. So people don't even hardly pay attention to the NBA till Christmas. Certainly after a game, you can still be pretty bold in your predictions because you never know what's going to happen. No one needs this. Nah. I hate that everybody has to say with their prediction, as long as everyone stays healthy. I'm like, why do you even have to say that? Like, just say that once. We'll say that once at the top. Yeah. If everyone stays healthy, that's the prediction. If Luka blows out his knee, no, the Mavericks are not going to be as good. Like, doesn't need to be said. But yeah. I don't know if do you want to do tiers or you want to draft them and go back and forth on Western Conference teams? You want to just pick a couple that you love?
The maximum recording time has been reached.
Oh,
it's all good.
It's all right. It's a webcam. You keep going.
Okay. You know what? How would we do it? I was thinking about just discussing all the. I mean, man, on the Western Conference, it's so easy to throw eight teams that feel like no-brainers that should hit the playoffs. Like to tier them, sure, we could tier them 1 to 8 if that's what you want to talk about. Go back and forth.
Let's do it.
We could just compare notes and go 1-1.
I'm giving you one first, so you can start us out. Who's one? Damn. I know it's tough.
At the end of the season, who's sitting in number 1?
Yep.
Oh, that's fucked up. It really is hard. Okay, I'm actually not gonna worry. I think based on what I'm seeing and potential, it might be Clippers.
Oh my gosh. How are why does everyone love the Clippers so much? Over your Warriors? You love the Warriors.
Well, the Warriors are okay. I feel like it's too easy for me to say. This is what I do in my brain. They're all like, he's going to say the Warriors no matter what. The Warriors should be number 1.
Okay. So, just pick the Warriors.
I'll say
pick the Warriors.
Warriors are my team, number 1.
You're doing the as long as they don't have any injuries. Just
Here I go. Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm doing number 1 Warriors.
Okay,
Pulling it out. That's it. Go. Your turn.
All right. I'm going to be boring because I think the Warriors are the best team. I think people are overthinking it. Like I love the idea of the Clippers because Kawhi is amazing, but I just think that let's check in at Christmas on them. Like those guys have not been healthy for years. They're also a little bit older and they've got so many guys. And we were just talking about teams. One of the things about the NBA that's a little different than like the Redeem team or something like that is that not everybody loves not playing. Like if I'm sitting on that Olympic team, like part of it is an experience and traveling and getting to know these guys. And I know that I'm going to go back to my team and get something out of it. And I'm going to be a star and play as much as I want there. But it's a little different on the Clippers where I might have a contract coming up and I'm not playing at all. And I think that can kind of eat into the culture a little bit. And so I'll be interested to see because part of what's been touted is their depth, but that can work both ways. And especially once you get to the playoffs, because you really only need eight guys. Like you don't need more than 8 guys in an NBA game, especially if you've got a good starting 5.
Yeah, I mean, with them, I'm kind of just banking on hunger, and but you're right, and John Wall feels hungry and he feels ignited. But again, we're beginning of the season, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well then, they might be your number 2. Who's your number 2?
No, I don't actually think they're my number 2. I'm gonna be bold.
They're dropping.
I'm gonna be bold on this number 2. No, I'm not. It's probably gonna be Memphis.
Oh, nice. Even with the Jaren Jackson Jr. injury.
I think that team is special. They're young. Yeah. They have chemistry. I think that they're dangerous.
Did you watch them last night? Any of them last night?
I only watch highlights of them, but every time I see them, I'm like, watch out.
Yeah. I think so
like
too.
They were the ones.
Yeah.
They were the ones that the Warriors we squeaked by on being veterans against them, but like they were playing the game that should have beat us. I think
they looked excited when I watched part of the game last night. They they look like they just like playing basketball, like they just
That's
like
the
getting
stuff.
out there to play. Some of these teams, Joel Embiid. I wasn't entirely sure he was like ready for the season to start. He's like, I might need like an extra week or so here, maybe a couple more wind sprints before I'm ready to play. And they looked ready to go. Like he's like shot out of a cannon when he gets going. It's unreal. And everyone else just has fun around him. And I know they will miss, I think, Jaren Jackson's defense.
They will.
But Brandon Clark does a lot of stuff that Jackson does on some level. And like you said, I think they've got the parts. I wouldn't pick them too. I'm going to stick with the Suns, actually.
You're going Phoenix?
I know.
Yeah.
It's
a fair guess.
It's so weird because everyone has them falling, but I don't understand why. I guess because I guess they're using the kind of same thing, the chemistry issues, because you had the weird thing with DeAndre Ayton. But I mean, I don't really know what was going on. I mean, I know Chris Paul got COVID, I guess, in the Western Conference Finals. But what does that have to do with this year? This year, and they won They won like 67, 65 games last year. Like
I mean, they're good.
The best team in the league, I think, was the Celtics pinned at like 54 games. I just don't see them dropping, 15, 20 games. Are they going to drop that far just because of that? Like they still seem really solid. Damian Lee is a good pickup. They need to trade. What's his name? That's weird that guy's, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name that's sitting out right now.
The big, with the
dreadlock. I know. Yeah.
Yep.
But the fact that he's sitting out is just like so ridiculous. Why he doesn't seem like he's on that level. I don't know. But I love
that
the
team's
Suns.
good.
Yeah, Jay Crowder. That's what it
it
is. Jay Crowder.
Crowder, that's right. Yeah, Crowder. Yeah, that's the one. I think that they are still absolutely a force. Yeah, and I do think Damian Lee's a good pickup culturally. I'm interested to see how Chris Paul plays this season, seeing him sit on the bench. But I feel like that's probably, I'd almost bet that coaching wise is less to do with Chris Paul and more to do with like maybe we do need to practice creating some chemistry, knowing that Chris Paul is going to be able to create it no matter what. Right? Let's get this little young squad in game one, let them run some stuff and see it, and it worked. Yeah.
I think they need his minutes down too, because ultimately, like if they win 50 games this year, it doesn't matter. Like they need to get healthy, into the playoffs, and they could beat anybody then. So
he's second half of the season guy.
That's my number 2. Who's your number 3?
My number 3. Are you ready for this?
Oh, no. You're in bold so far.
Ready?
I'm not. You're got to be the Clippers, right? You're about to put them number 1.
I don't know, dude. Did you watch the Pelicans last night?
Oh God, I did. They looked awesome.
So
they blew.
Again, this comes down to this is me like kind of rolling the dice, but I'm saying they're 3 or 4.
Wow.
Because I don't know. Like
they blew the door. They blew the doors off the Nets last night. They absolutely blew the doors off them.
And I don't feel like they were like trying as I don't know. I just don't feel like they were playing as good as they could play.
Yeah,
when I saw that.
It can't be. Zion's been off the court for 18 months, and he looked like that. I was impressed.
That's
with
what
him.
I'm saying.
Yeah,
he's fresh. He's the best he's ever looked since better than high school, I'd say. It looks. I don't know. They seemed like McCollum. It feels like if they didn't have the chemistry that seems like they could, to put up $130 last night without playing their best basketball against a team that arguably shouldn't allow to 130 is pretty solid.
You would think, but I don't know. That Nets team. Do you want to talk about chemistry? That Nets team. Yeah. That's the exact opposite. That's like your Mentos and Diet Coke right there. Pow.
Yeah. So that's my roll of the dice. We'll see where it comes in at the end of the season.
Okay, I like it.
Up there. It's 3rd.
Pelicans.
Third.
All right,
Danger.
I'm flipping to your Grizzlies at 3. Okay. I really like them. I just think they're built for the regular season too. And Jaren Jackson Jr. He'll come back. They've played without stars before. So if we want to talk about what if someone's out, they were without Ja for quite a bit of last season. Still kind of rode through that. So. I love them. I just think that they've got young guys that are on the way up that you can get internal growth with. That's all. I think you kind of always underestimate where at some point guys just sort of, if they're really guys, just sort of figure it out. Like Zion, I mean, he just is he's a guy. Like he's a real guy. Like Ben Simmons came back and scored like 2 points last night, but Zion fouled out. Like Zion came back and was just looked unstoppable. I was like, oh my gosh, like he just gets it. He knows how to play basketball. He's got the mentality to do it, and Ja for sure does.
Damn, dude. Yep. So that's yours.
Yep.
So we're moving on for me. This is where Phoenix sits.
Oh, okay.
That's my Phoenix spot.
That's not a bad. I think that could be right. I mean, that would be a good spot for them. That's home court advantage still.
Yeah, 3-4 could have switched, but I'm being bold with that Pelicans call.
I like that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Clippers next here. I think that they're due for some injury luck. That's what I'm banking on, is that they've been injured. One guy seems like constantly for 4 years. I'm just hoping for their sake that they do it. But they are for sure going to rest guys. So I don't think they can get to that top because they are going to load manage. And if any little injury comes up, they're going to sit somebody, and back-to-backs, they're going to sit guys. So. And I think they're deep enough where that they'll still pick up some wins there, but I think it'll be enough that they'll drop to the middle of the pack, and they don't need to be. There's no reason they need to be the first.
They just need to make playoffs.
Exactly.
Playoffs.
Yeah, they get in there and they'll be good.
I agree with you. I think PG is going to get rest. Kawhi's going to get rest. Like they're going to probably try to play the shit out of John Wall because he's fresh from back too. But yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. I think that's going to happen. But they are deep and they feel good. So that's your 4. Is that what we said?
Yeah, I think that's 4.
Man, 5. Do I go with Dallas or do I go with the Clips? Who's gonna be over 1? I think the Clips got Dallas. I think that's my 5.
Yeah.
Dallas looks like Luka needs to run so much more. Homeboy's tired. He puts him up, but
he needs to run so much more.
He needs to be I'm sure he's in pretty good shape for him putting up those points, but I'm like,
yeah. You want him to do more than 35? He had 35 and 9 last night.
On defense. I want him to be part of the defense. Okay. They got to win with some.
If you're talking about James Harden, next time Doc Rivers puts his arm around James Harden, maybe they should have a conversation about defense.
Yeah,
because that's part of leadership too. I saw some plays where guys, he looked like a turnstile. They just blew past him. I'm like, come on, man. Like his effort level on that end of the court has always left something to be desired, and
always.
And that is just, and defense is totally just that's all mental, because it's not fun, and you don't get any.
It's fun.
I mean, you can make.
For me, it's fun.
Yeah, you can make it kind of in your own head, but that's what I mean. Like you have to make it, because you're not gonna. I guess not fun in that you're not gonna be on the NBA TV top 10. With your defense. So
yeah, for the superstars you're not, but for the individual, you're like, how many are they actually gonna get on me?
Right.
And that's where I love it.
That's where it's like a pride thing. Like he's got to take more pride in it. Like, and that team needs him and Maxey to be better on defense. So I think that's interesting. All right, I'm picking.
So that's gonna be my squad.
All right, I'm picking the Pelicans. Then I really liked them too. I mean, I don't see how they are any lower than that with just the talent. Like the only things that they have to really figure out, we'll have to figure out eventually, is kind of the chemistry end of games when they get in close games, because it's easy in a blowout. They just kind of run the offense. Sure. It goes where it is. But at the end of games, when it's close, who's it gonna be?
Who's clutch?
Yeah, is it gonna be Ingram or is it gonna be Zion? Is it gonna be McCollum? Like which one of those guys? How do they set the court up? Are they going to be okay? Yeah. Are they going to be okay with that too? If it's Zion not in the play, like is he going to be okay with deferring to one of those guys because they're better shooters or better ball handlers? I don't know.
That's where you hopefully bank on coaching culture, right? And the understanding of I see there are 3 different roles for 3 different teams you're playing against, 3 different sets, and I think that, to me, at least, if anything, to have those options and how different they are is pretty badass. You got we need to create a shot on a 1-on-1. Like McCollum's pretty much, if he hits the shot, guaranteed. He can get around. He can do anything.
Yes.
Dude is the G. And then Ingram kind of the same way, but in a whole different style, right? He's tall. He's got length. You can put him mid-range. But he can also hit him deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's, you've got these interesting matchups. You can run a play or two with them all, and Zion's anywhere. He's an oop. He's a he's an inside, just like bang it in. He's also a trusted dime on the way
just
through.
fun. He's just is fun to watch. I mean, that I can say about every time I watch them. Like your eyes are just drawn to him because he just looks weird out there. He's just this kind of.
He looks weird.
He looks weird. Like, did you watch the Wembanyama guy? Any of the highlights from when he came over and played in Las Vegas? Like, yeah. He just looks like I don't know what that is, but it is amazing.
It's too tall to be.
It's amazing
the ball
to
looks
watch.
Like it's going straight.
I know it's amazing to watch, though. I'm just like I don't know what that is, but I enjoy watching it. Like Boban. Something about Boban.
Yeah, exactly. Except for with style and grace.
Yes, exactly. Less style and grace there.
It's like Zion's like a spring bunny. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like a cow that's got bunny legs. I don't know. He's like,
that's good. Yes. Well, you need to come up with a nickname. Mash those two up.
I don't know.
Get that on the basketball reference page.
I'll be hated for life. Cow bunny, dude.
Cow bunny.
Cow bun.
Yeah. There's something there. You workshop it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute, dude. I'll have to talk it through. Write some notes. Workshop.
Let me storyboard that.
I absolutely got to. Let's do some justice.
All right, who you got next?
I think I'm going Dallas there.
Okay. That's just a Lucas pick there.
I mean, it's a consistency pick too, right? They've always kind of been sticking around right around there. I think they can keep doing it. Yeah. I feel like the pickup of Woods, we'll see how he does. He's kind of an interesting player, but he seems to be one of those that might be finding a fit if he keeps, he put 16 straight up last night with Luka on the bench. And it was Ayton's defense actually was pretty crappy last night across the board. Like he had no help D in general. He was playing off him.
Yeah.
And he got hit with 3 or 4 threes in his face. So it's like, and he still didn't ever put his hand up, I don't think, in any of them. Maybe the one that he banked.
Yeah.
That Woods banked. So I mean, it's interesting to see at least some more offense. I think Dinwiddie's still like not getting what he can be. Dinwiddie's good. I like him. There's some players on that team that can contribute that I think they need some coaching and play running help a little bit and not only run everything through watch Luka. And if they can do a little bit of that, they're a team and that changes the game.
Do they have anybody else that can do that? They lost Brunson though. That's my thing.
I know. Like Brunson, I liked a lot.
I know. I don't know. I really don't know about them. I would not pick them just because I just think that he meant more than they realize as a table setter. And their identity was kind of toughness and defense last year. And so now their second best player is Wood, who doesn't play any defense. He can score. He looked great scoring last night, but I don't know. Like I'm not convinced that I don't like a team that I don't know who your second best player is, and I'm gonna lock you into the playoffs because everybody else that we've talked about has at least 2 guys, that I'm like they've got this guy and maybe these several others, and really like Woods is. I mean, if you're gonna call him the second best guy, man,
it's hard to tell.
So that's really a Luka pick. So
I know it is a Luka pick.
But he's good. You're not. I mean, you're not wrong.
What he put 35 again last night?
Yeah, like 35 and 9.
And it is kind of gnarly that you have to bank on him doing that for you to win. But they did play Phoenix, a unique Phoenix team last night. Not necessarily like Phoenix at their best, but they were blowing them out for a long time. And that's again, you got to stay in shape and stay focused on defense. And they should have been able to hold off that lead pretty substantially. So. Hard to tell, but I'm still going to put them there one more season, and that's kind of almost based on technically they've earned that in my mind.
Yeah, they were in the Western Conference Finals last year, so you're not wrong about it. So
right,
I'm going.
Well, I could be.
Well, yeah. Well, you could be wrong this season, but you're not wrong to pick them based on past performance and Luka. I'm going, though, with the 2-time MVP in this spot. I'm going with the Nuggets and Jokic here. I just think, man,
I blew it.
Yeah,
I forgot about him.
I know.
Yeah, obviously.
I think they'll be good this year. This may be too low for them. I might be like too high on the Pelicans, just because of the newness of them, and maybe it's actually just the Nuggets who are going to be in that spot because they've got that continuity. With the couple guys coming back and Jokic he practically got a no name team to 50 wins last year, all by himself. So if Murray and Porter Jr. can do anything, they could be big upgrades over the guys they had last year. So that's the Nuggets right there for me.
Man, was that 6 too, right? We're at 6 now.
Yeah, so now we're at the play-in next. That's what's crazy. Like these teams are going to be in the play-in tournament the next 2.
Right. So I mean, to me, it's pretty dead set. Like it should be our boy Jokic in the squad. Like he's such a facilitator. That does seem a little bit like a no-brainer. Like they're making the playoffs.
Yeah.
To me, like
are you flipping? Are you flipping your Mavs into 7?
I think I got to flip. Right. I think I got to be with you on that. Like if I got to, you can't check your ego and just be like, well, I said it. I'm like, no, this is, I'm not wise to put.
We didn't even know who Jay Crowder is. It's fine.
Oh, I know who Jay Crowder is. Oh my God. No, you're just not wise to put Luka as a standalone above Jokic as a team. Like Jokic builds a team.
Yeah.
Luka is a guy.
Yeah. I think Luka needs to, like you said, figure out something with Hardaway Jr. or somebody else where he can like be gravity, right? And just make things easier without doing so much. Cause I think what you're getting at is true. Like he gets so tired because he's not like Steph where he's just gravity for the other guys to do things. He is like having to do everything himself. And so by the end of the game, he's just exhausted. Like, you can't.
And he saw it.
He looks tired.
Tired. I don't
even know if you can even be in good enough. I mean, I'm sure you can be, but it's hard to be in good enough shape to do that.
I mean, Curry is,
every
right?
Night. Yeah. Every night is just like so hard.
It's a dedication. And Curry's a little smaller, right? To carry that height and weight is different. And it's true. Like you watched them box in one Luka, and it actually, for a fair amount of the game, like, it worked.
Yeah.
For some reason, they stopped doing it every time he starts scoring again. But if they double team him, he had a hard time.
Yeah.
He actually, like he just puts up more shots than everybody, and he's really fucking good. But
yeah, he is good.
Yeah, that's my flip.
All right.
So, I guess now we're to play.
So you've got Mavs at 7 then in the play-in.
Yeah, dude. That's the one.
I know.
I might even I don't know. Have I put my boys the Clippers in personally?
Yeah, you had.
I dropped them, right?
No, you had them in earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, I dropped them. Okay. Yeah. So then all I've got left in my repertoire of belief is they're
So that's crazy because we haven't said the Lakers.
They're still here.
We haven't said the Jazz. We haven't said the Kings, who are definitely going for it.
They're doing all right too. That's what I'm saying. Like the Western Conference is kind of crazy.
It's crazy.
Like we
haven't said the Timberwolves. We haven't said the Timberwolves or the Blazers either. By the way, which Timberwolves?
That's what I'm saying. Then Portland's got a chance too. Like
so
it's hard.
Yeah. So at 7, do I go with? I think I'm going to go with the Timberwolves here. Actually, over the Mavericks because I love Luka, but I just do not like his team. And I think that the Timberwolves, again, they've got 3 guys who I like. Yeah, I like Luka better than any one of their 3 guys.
Yeah.
But Gobert is going to make their defense better. Cat is amazing offensively, at least. And Gobert is going to cover up some of his deficiencies. And then I love Anthony Edwards. The Ant-Man is on the rise still. So I'm going to go with them at 7.
I think you're smart. It's a hard call. Yeah, you got so that's your 7. So then I have to pick an 8th right now.
Well, are you keeping the Mavs at 7 then? You flip them out of 6.
Let me do a buy on that one.
Well,
let me do a buy on that one. I don't know if I'm if I can recall it. I don't know if I put Dallas there. I might put.
It's California, so you can do recalls, elections. You're out there. Talk a little politics.
I think I'm gonna throw the Jazz there and see what happens.
Oh wow! So you don't think they're tanking for Wembanyama?
I don't know. Everybody's gonna say I don't know. I feel like the Lakers are gonna tank before him.
Well, that's the crazy thing though, is that the Lakers owe their pick to New Orleans this year. So if they get the number 1 pick, it actually would go to New Orleans, which would be
that's
all time amazing. Imagine New Orleans gets Wembanyama. Like that'd be something.
Wow, that'd be like a young laser team. I didn't know about that little fun fact, little nug you just threw at me. But I'm still going with Utah. I don't think they're tanking yet.
I don't
think they're taking yet.
Just the continuity.
I'm gonna trust
system.
the culture. Like they seem disciplined as a organization, and I think we're gonna see some surprises. I'm going there. That's the spot. That's it.
Okay.
Not gonna overthink it.
Who's 8? Who's 8 then? You still got Timberwolves, Trailblazers, Lakers, Kings. Lots to pick from.
See, so much of this is like, are the Lakers going to trade Russ so that Russ can actually play well somewhere and have like a good season?
They've got to, right? They looked horrible. Like that. I watched that game and I was like, my God, this is not a functional basketball team. Like they have 2 good players, which is great. But it turns out that like the Redeem team, basketball is not too. You can get beat by Puerto Rico if you are not a good team. Like that's just how it is. Like it doesn't matter. Like a good team is going to beat you, even if you got 2 awesome players, and they do. AD and LeBron looked awesome, but man, the rest of their team struggling.
It's struggling. I think I'm gonna go for they're gonna be their Redeem team. Blazers are getting in.
Wow!
8.
All right.
I want them. I love them. I've
Blazers.
always loved them. I want some Dame time.
Lillard.
I want that squad to come alive.
Yeah.
I think I keep seeing potential in them, and then it just like it doesn't work. I think Dame being quote unquote healthier than he's been and all that in shape, which they say about athletes all the time. But if it's true, with all that support that he seems to be picking up in those young players, I think it's on. I think they could be. They had those sparks even without him here and there. It's just they couldn't sustain.
Amazing.
They couldn't sustain.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm in, dude.
Whew, that's bold. I love it. I love it because the best part of it is that there's like so much groupthink around the teams that have to be in, and it's way better to pick like outliers because you don't know. Like it so much is about like will they come together? And I mean, he is a culture builder there. He loves Portland. Yeah. That city loves him. That stuff ends up mattering in the end too. But I'm gonna pick Luka. I gotta pick my boy Luka in the eighth spot there. So
I've given up on him through our conversation.
I know. I can't imagine that he's not at least in that top 8. But it's crazy to think that they went from the Western Conference Finals to maybe in the in the play-in and fighting to be in the. It could be Warriors first round, Warriors Mavericks, a rematch of the conference finals, last year. It's that's crazy. That would be a crazy first round matchup.
This season is hard. Like us having this conversation, people are going to be just tripping out. They're going to be like, these guys are full of it. Because who knows? Like, a lot of people are going to, my wild card of the Pelicans, even though I don't feel like it's a wild card, to a lot of people probably feel that way, right?
Oh,
not proven yet at all.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it'd be a huge improvement. Like that's the thing. Like they won like 40 games last year. So we're basically saying they're going to win 10 more games. And to improve that much is difficult. That's basically a bet on, like you said, their culture plus Zion being awesome all year. I mean, that's not impossible though.
No, I think that's the thing though. With you add Zion, and then you can't. The floor is spread. Like to me, it's also like the Warriors thing. You have the right people on there, and it's like you can't leave Zion, you can't leave Ingram, you can't leave McCollum. So it's like not only that, all 3 of them can create their own shots.
Yeah,
none of them are spot up.
Yep.
I mean, kind of Ingram sometimes, but he creates his own shots
a
lot.
Yeah, he can definitely move.
So like when that happens, you can't easily double team any one of them without that sacrifice. And to me, that's a huge advantage with those types of players. So that's why I call that. And that is different to teams like Luka, to teams with a lot of these teams. I mean, Minnesota, you're right. They've got it because of Anthony Eds. Anthony Eds. That's Goose.
Ant-Man. Anthony, hell yeah. Ant-Man. You're right.
I talked about Goose. Goose dies in the end, everybody. His son lives.
Oh my gosh, spoiler alert.
Yeah, dude.
They had that. We got a sidebar here. They had that as the trivia question during the Heat Bulls last night. Was two people, younger African American ladies, and they asked them who is Maverick's wingman, and they both just looked at the guy asking the question like, "This is what you give us." Like, come on now. Like, are you kidding me? Like
they're all, who's Maverick?
Yeah, the one got it. She got Rooster. They gave it to her on Rooster.
Oh, they gave her Rooster?
I know.
True.
Yeah, I know.
It's Maverick's wingman.
That's right. Yeah. So
new age. It's not the old school, but whatever.
They gave it to her. Yeah. I was like, that's good enough. Let her
and
off,
you're still reeling off of DeRozan's 37.
Oh
and
my gosh. Oh, that the
Mid-range winner.
triple pump fake. Into the, amazing. Like, get out of here with that. Like, there's nothing you're doing with that. You're definitely biting on one of those pump fakes.
You got to. Good sidebar.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else for us? So that we'll check in later in the year, see how our picks are doing. I've got them written down, so we'll see.
Okay. You wrote them down.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how this progresses because I'm definitely a firm believer in the surprises, and how accurate of the standings. I actually don't feel like 1,000%
No, I don't think you can this year.
Though.
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Those teams being top 8, I think I could feel fairly confident that could happen. But how the chips fall in terms of 1 through 8, I feel like that top 4 to 5 is pretty open.
Yeah, well, because there's no runaways. Like, there's no Warriors, Cavs like there was for years. Like, those teams were clearly like going to be the top seeds or make it to the finals. I mean, they did every single year. So it's just like, okay, these are the finals teams. Like, I don't know that the Warriors will go to the finals, even if I pick them number 1. And I couldn't tell you out of the top 8 who will go, because I think a lot will depend on just culture. We didn't even talk about Draymond Green when we talked about the Warriors. Like,
right.
Holy cow. Like, that, what a weird situation. Did you watch his,
I mean, the whole thing's weird.
It was rap with his documentary. If you watched that at all, did you see any of that?
I haven't watched this.
Oh my gosh.
I got to watch that.
You got to, speaking of things that if you haven't seen it, yeah, watch a little bit of that, because you'll be like, what in the world?
I'll watch that. And that's totally the point too. It's like the Warriors still, like, on paper, again, they actually should probably, with the depth and the quality of players they have, they should be number 1.
Yeah.
No brainer. But at the same time, all those players haven't played together with chemistry, and the kind of minutes they're going to have to share to play 11 guys a game, give or take, like, genuinely be able to play 11 guys a game fairly consistently is like, that's
it's different.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a total challenge.
So
it's, again, how their success is greatly going to come down to how well they can put chemistry mixes together and multiple different versions, right? It's like, I think
100%.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I love that challenge, but that doesn't mean they're going to be a winning team. But
exactly. Yeah. So we'll check it. I got to hear that, because I think the documentary thing for Draymond, it's bizarre, man. It's just strange. Like, the new school media, I like on some level, because again, it's that their opportunity when it's done right. Like, the Redeem Team was like produced by LeBron and, Wade. And so
well done.
Yeah, exactly. If you can give it an interesting lens and be kind of honest on some level, but the Draymond thing was strange. Like, the way he tried to apologize, but not really, he almost like framed himself as like a victim of the punch situation. Like, it was, when you see it, like, it's weird. Like, he's with his daughters when he's talking about it. And paints him you can't look at him
political.
Yeah. You can't look at him as like in such a negative way. It's almost like you're you're like a dictator, and you go out into a neighborhood and everyone there is like, oh yeah, we love him. Like, do you? Are you just worried that he might punch you too?
Babies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, like, it was like that. It felt like a political advertisement rather than a documentary, like it was meant to be. I don't mind if that you want to share that stuff, but I think that, you owe us some real authenticity, not just, to try to
personality.
Yeah. Not to try to like scrub the situation because, you made a mistake. Like, just own it. It seemed like the team moved on from it, which speaks a lot to the team culture and Poole and, Kerr and all those guys being willing to just ride that wave with you and not just like pull the rug and, ship you out of town, which they could have easily done too. If someone would have traded for him, they could have just been like, see you later, but
yeah. I mean, and they played well together. There was still some chemistry between the two.
Yeah, they had that nice little pass, and that was neat. So.
Backdoor cut. This is good. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. I got to watch that documentary for sure. For sure. I mean, I'm trying to adjust the way we like do leadership style right now to like project-based leadership instead of it specifically job-based, and that's
what's that mean?
I mean, it'd be like you have a certain amount of leaders, and a couple of them will be tied to like specifics in a place, but instead of them like living at a store full time, like this is my store all the time and the only thing I focus on, it's like this person and these three people are really amazing at operations, and we need to figure out this solution to whatever. Like an easy example would be like, we want to have breakfast burritos at every cafe.
Yeah.
So these three are going to talk about like how the operations of that look with the food person, because that's got to happen.
Yeah.
But the food person seems to be struggling because the food person's like, I know how to make them, but I'm really afraid to make them and then transport them, and then how do they get hot, and then they get in the weeds themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, cool. You got a team of three, and even though like these other two typically work at this store, y'all three are figuring that out for the whole company.
Okay.
Yeah. Huh. And then we're gonna like fill in space for that to happen, and then whatever. Say we are, which is always a problem. We're short on hiring. Like, let's put a strategy person with the actual HR person and get some like eyes together and be like, what's actually happening? Why are we having a hard time here? And look through that and solve that problem. Be like, well, the goal is to have X amount of people always in the queue ready to go, whether they're hired or like pre-hired, and saying like, cool, you've been like, we don't have space for you on the roster right now, but as soon as we do, we'll call you so you can put in 2 weeks wherever you're at, like that kind of gig.
Yeah.
How do we solve for that?
What do you do when you have something that you want to get done in a certain amount of time, but then realize like either the team's not ready, or maybe even you're not ready? Like, how do you drop? Like, that's one of those things that I really struggle with. Like, I know something needs to be done. I know how, that it needs to be done in this amount of time, and then 10 other things come up and you're just like, shit, it's not going to work. Or people seem stressed out and you're like, I know I need to drop back, but then I always have such a fear of like, when you let something go for a little bit, like you lose focus, or can just kind of lose, it just can kind of get away from you. Then like if you stop pushing, you can lose it then. And but then the opposite can be true too. You can kind of burn people out. And I don't know if you guys have ideas for that, or what you do.
I mean, that's always a challenge, and it's always different. I think a lot of the times what happens is you do have to let some things go.
Yeah.
But then you have to kind of, I think what you, at least for me and has been going on, because that's kind of a little bit where we're at right now, right? It's like stuff needs to happen. But then I think what I'm starting to look at is, where are people spinning their wheels a little too much, and what's actually the biggest bang for your buck in terms of moving towards the end goal. So yeah, you were going to want to have, as best you can, like a deadline to hit, whatever it might be, and you might not hit that, but at the same time, I think there's other factors usually that are keeping people from being their best. It's like in coffee and hospitality, if the team is trying to do too much outwardly in terms of like personal growth and developing systems and to your point, like they can forget to be present with their team, and their team then starts suffering what feels like it's a culture miss, that they're like, they don't realize that their work's really important. The quality standards, like some of that stuff kind of like slowly goes one direction away from where we're at. And then with that comes more turnover, because people are not feeling as inspired, because they're not connecting with their leader, where their leaders are like outwardly focused on another thing. So in one aspect, that's a little bit where this project-based leadership, in my mind,
I like that,
might be a solution, because you can keep people on site and keep them focused, and then pull people for short periods of time to bang out something, and then pull them back. Because I genuinely believe people don't typically quit jobs as a majority. They quit leaders. And
for sure,
when your leaders are badass and your leaders are present, you see morale up, you see quality up, you see focus up. Your leaders can be badass, but if they're not present, then everything else suffers. And so that's, I think, what is a big part of what I'm addressing and about to address with my team is, I know y'all want to do all these other things, but it's not working. And some of y'all shouldn't be focusing on this stuff at all, and you're taking it all upon yourself. And that's also not very wise. So I don't know. I mean, we got a lot of exploring to do. I feel pretty clear on the individuals and how it can help, but it's, to your point again, the shakeup, people are going to be tripping.
I like that. Do you do personal goal setting for like with your leadership team?
Yeah, but I mean, even that, right? Like, I'm starting to recognize that you can give people goals that, well, yes, I do. Basically, the long story short is, yes, I do. You have to check in a shit ton.
Yeah.
And then it's okay. And then I think it's okay to adjust those goals to bring, that's again, teams together, right? You can throw these goals that seem, in my mind, like because I'm me and how my brain works. I'm like, oh, I know exactly how that
Right.
work this out, and use all the resources around me.
Mm-hmm.
Then you give that same goal with a pretty clear picture to people, and they get like a quarter of the way through and are just stumped. And then they don't ask for help, and then time goes by because they have pride.
Yeah.
And they're like, but this is my job. Like, this is my thing. And I'm all, dog, you don't realize that
Yeah.
the picture is a bigger picture than just you and this job.
Right.
You're actually failing when the job doesn't get done. You're not failing because you didn't get it done by yourself.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's good.
You know, and that to me is some leadership shit too. It's like,
yeah.
And y'all got to drink some Ben Hameen Geisha when it comes out.
Oh,
it's about to drop.
Oh, when's that coming out?
In the next couple of weeks. Yeah, it's coming in hot. It's,
okay, good.
He's special, right? Ben Hameen makes sure all the best coffees from Honduras come out, and he has a couple farms himself, and his coffee that just got harvested won first place in Cup of Excellence. The harvest that we have from this past season got 5th place, so it's like rated
super
the 5th best coffee to come out of all of Honduras. And this year coming up, we don't have that one yet. It's coming next year, but got 1st place. So
I just got my wife's cousin. She was over and asking about coffee. And so I'm like, you need to order some Cat and Cloud. She didn't have a grinder. So I'm like, well, they'll pre-grind it for you. I know. Yeah. So I set her up with like a little pour over setup from my extra stuff that I've accumulated over the years. And she was like really pumped about it. So I'll make sure I'll tell her to get that and really shock herself with some geisha. That'd be
It's tropical, it's clean, it's a whole story in the mouth.
It's a whole thing.
It's wild. Yeah. It's like the mangoes and the melons and it's so fun. The vanillas and the flowers. It's like, damn, girl.
Oh,
thanks for putting it together.
Thank you for listening to the 19.9 podcast. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do. And while you're at it, leave us a rating or review. 5 stars only, like the basketball camp. We also have links to all of 19.9 social media so you never miss a release. Until next time,